Ami mo bibi akwaba na me mfa Bra Mega TV yen platform yi eso. Enough is enough. Se say die eye Supreme Court of Ghana moyi bia eye. Enti enkosi da ben na Ghana for ye benye gidi ewo mu. Se say omudi case kokora na yenim bebia case ni eko. But ukobio anu sisia na omachi wakotum. Ukobio anu sisia mbechi watum. Because wako yeden wako break contempt. Very sad. In fact, the course ewo aye enduachi Supreme Court tenase na omodi judgment ba ya omubo Speaker of Parliament na applications to to nullify aye to nullify aye yura afenyo markings in the case no say on ni ni ruling no the babontin no ontimi emma say ruling no. You see, the moment Supreme Court able to go ya na me say no Akuffo we directly no omo no mo share chire, because you can't tell me say obi a judge, Supreme Court judge, the person has to get a political affiliation, the person must to involve in politics, in I don't know, in mainstream politics. I don't know meaning there the person must not involve in mainstream politics, even anyone say nipan political affiliation about bonte. But the judge now one of the judges no are no much panel no so no bako na oye former MP as parliamentary aspirant in voter region. Inti sa nima we ne koso ebede na perepere ye abeto the Supreme Court no ebede na sanity abagana ye democracy. Dia wasa omude to hanoma no matam ede atwa. Dia wasa omude to hanoma no matam ede atwa. And that is the reason why ene oma oman we yenko yenim no. That is the reason why ene Ghana yaka bebia yaka no. Very sad say Ghana ene yedru bebi yedru. Ene yeni gidie o Supreme Court mu, yeni gidie ewo executive mu, ye members of parliament, and as a parliament na aka no so no, you people want to chese mo pese ono nso mo befa ono nso boso na mo di yen de mo pe. It is sad. Yenko tie Kevin wa drop information bi na mesro say revival man ne link na ewo description ni bomodina na like it mo di share. Uko Facebook in fact Mega TV Ghana ewo honom ko na ko subscribe you what you say ko na ko like ijumadi no. Mega TV Ghana ewo Facebook ko na ko like ijumadi na ko subscribe for my what you say ko so no follow page no Mega TV Ghana enche me the link ne ebeto na mama mo na ma kire no de wa mbesi aye enti say the Mega ye ko Facebook ne no ko dijuma what you say na ibietimi akoso revival man ne link ni ewo mti bomodina na fans abo so ewo description na costume ni biyankopon hira yinti se na enfamra
so amefo ya tinsem bebre se ende eye afenyo marking MPP for court no asana kopie Supreme Court ema sebio onkonya or the ex party application because Supreme Court say eye Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin why then why adiebi of parliament we yi MPP fo bi omo ko independent no we yi omo to akonwa nti NPP minority leader eye afenyo marking eko eye Supreme Court eko ka kire Chief Justice say Chief Justice Jumadi a omudi no eye parliament no Chief Justice entu ni nansim efi say Chief Justice na betuma aboa no afenyo marking court no Chief Justice onim eye Parliament almost jumadi omudia sebio omudi omhono otuni nan ena odi sim say eye decision bia eye Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin etekino eye Supreme Court Chief Justice tokonu edi enimu no ono wetuni nan sim judgment ana ruling na oma our parliament say NDC for ena from time oma sa judgment no eye majority no ono eye Chief Justice ene sebio judge for mo hono omotu omu nan sim asamono ene eye Alban Bagbin so be 2 days ago ono so ewu krata eye Supreme Court for the bre no eka kire ne say oh eya wo decision ene wo dwumadi a wodi in the parliament no even though no mo ye independent body a mo aso mo hyemra e make sure say Ghana na ye kikire no bibia ekoye no omo wo akwanya say omo betu omo na esim. Iti Alban Bagbin also received this suit from the court, the Supreme Court. And our directing the lawyers say, "Omunko Supreme Court go can chire Chief Justice say." Jumadi na odi no Supreme Court no. Sa to me na ekuta no. Ono Alban Bagbin ne parliament so the same to me. The same as the executive. Inti ne wanwa say asema AC parliament no. Asema parliament eka omankasa betuma tena se aka. Parliament wo ono ankasa ne mra obetube diso ahyehye mra no. Se parliament kura asem si wo na se sebio omo nti omo ho ase a omo wo bibia ye frɛ no rules and regulations standing orders a omo betumi de asolve asem no. O say Chief Justice etume tu ne nan esi omo asem no ohun se Chief Justice watra nani nton sebio ni tumi no oma ni tumi no atra na no sebio oma ni tumi no atra nechi sebio obana tebe mudodo. In fact, Emrana Chief Justice ejina so edi akase onja ni dwumadi a odi no parliament no mra bia etia Ghana mra kase constitution no. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I will use that. The 5 Supreme Court judges no ayemba no mudin wa 1 2 3 4 5. 5. I'll mention their names now. Enti Assembly Sakopie Court, Alban Bagbin, Esman, the lawyers, Momo responding to a Supreme Court, a court Chief Justice war. Now, and the Assembly P Court, nation with TV so. Me assure yourself from watching kono, let me land the phone be beba. I bet to brofwake see jargons. So I'm for intina me ye win coming yet. So I'm for intina me ye win. Now, after your marking echo Supreme Court, ko can asem chire eye osono maame eye Madam Tokonu a oginemuma MPP o eye Supreme Court no. Okono asem a ode call eho nyina ne say eye de let me put this picture up. Na yenko yenim. This is the Chief Justice and ono ena odi enim. After your marking ede na asem echo Supreme Court no. Okokache Chief Justice say eye nipa miensa bia omo parliament and Alban Bagbin atwe omoto ase akonwa say omo ko independent dia eye akonwa na ewo ho no sebio omo ja akonwa na to eni say omo from say omo ye MPP MPs na emom omo ye independent. Now afenyo make koye no enkura na nka so kobo Chief Justice no they see your parliament and say a nipa 9 MPP form yensa and NDC ni baako. Then so after your marking eko eye Supreme Court no or the nipa miensa din ne call ye say sa nipa miensa we nkwa na eye chief Speaker of Parliament ehwe hubua asem of Parliament. Then so uko Parliament in krata mu a Parliament in krata mu no sa da na eye Alban Babin ebu asem no na eye nipa 9 and wasem and ojina so ebua na asem. Nanso afenyo makin eko Supreme Court na okoka na asem akire eye osono maame eye the Chief Justice no okoka kire ne say nipa miensa. It means say in the first place eye the ex parte application na afenyo makin ediko Supreme Court no that application no everything in it was a lie because don't say court oko quarter in sem na eye de ko ne nyi bi mfrim ene enfe bi nka ho. Afenyo makin eko court no o decide say inkro ana nyoma eko so parliament ema Alban Bagbin gina so ka say 4 MPs ye yi omoto akonwa efiso omoko independent no ono free parliament ede na asem akọ court ede akọ osono maame ho no o say nipa miensa enho asem na Alban Bagbin gina so edi bu asasem no court so ana say eye imrahwe Supreme Court Madam Tokonu osono maame da ano no eye facts and yedi gina so edibu asem. Now the ekosi nyina ne say asem na kopie court na ene the appeal court ni nyina say Alban Bagbin show letter come Supreme Court Chief Justice say uni ho kwan, in fact muni ho kwan krampo say the course of parliament no mubetu munan esim inti enho ena and the Chief Justice eya osono maame Madam Tokonu ene the battalions miensa amaka no etena ase say omu bebua sa asem no ansana asem ankasa afenyo ma akende baaye say Chief Speaker of Parliament say eye omo ye minority anase we yi MPs miensa to akonwa no yakoso into the end e course no nyina ne ye interlocutory eye issues a eye fa asem no ho e de say we twa material ehwa homa no enende eye osono maame Madam Tokonu ene the battalions no etena ase edi hu enkomo enti adekudi enti omo tena ase ndan se na omo pese omo tie Alban Bagbin se bi oni response of the bro omo se omo ni hu tumi krampo se omo betena asem no so na omo tena asem no so no eye osono maame Madam Tokonu ene eye the Supreme Court judges omaka baako ye MPP foot soldier a ye friend eye gawu anase de en a mebodi din eye Nansia Akuffo Addo eye the Supreme Court judge na obi anim so oye former MPP parliamentary candidate Ghana ni mako Ghana ni mako mu Supreme Court judge oye former parliamentary candidate ema political party in power edi ekurofon so no now yonko enim inti eye lawyer ogina muma Speaker of Parliament eye Theodore sorry one eye Attorney General onu so gina muma Ghana ena ende omu nyina ekopie eye the Supreme Court now yakika asem ni nyina besie no na as a Chief Justice person kire say owo hutumi Supreme Court no wo hutumi say omu ye de omu pe omu frɛ Alban Bagbin the decision bia o taking wo eye parliament bia no omu wo hutumi in fact constitution ma omu ho kwan sɛ omu betu omu ndansim na omu akyerɛ de o sɛ parliament eye enintina omu pɛ sɛ omu koso no omu kodi asɛm na nkasa intende no the kodi enti omu tena ase no sɛ Alban Bagbin mu aye o de bro omu sɛ omu ni ho kwan sɛ omu bedi asɛm no omu sɛ omu abo atogu omu ho kwan na ensɛm no sɛ ne ebobo baaye no moma yenya abotre na yentie sene yekoye sene be asoamefo enso beti asie pefe ansana eye please let me land. I know you are my elder brother. We all went to law school together. You have been a friend for a long time. We know your party affiliation. Ansana sankwasiafo na ba ochina enti ye ne local ejudwom basic na ya mama hu de si wo Supreme Court nde na ya kire mo sene eye osono maame Madam Tokonu ejina pintin kan to twomye ye na adwun so obeye adwuma ama Akuffo Addo na sebio eye abomu eye thank you Akuffo Addo ye Chief Justice no ode be man the back now so ukọ de si wo court na time my Chief Justice Kasano. So wutie Chief Justice here. Ushe enkrata afenyoma ken ede call eye Supreme Court. Ene ne starting free. Ye de yen call law school, but your common sense. Ene na we Ghana ni na ohwe me a, you don't have to forget. Call law school and chese nyansa unibi. Ena sebio ye kan sama se eye court o, se out of court o, se ye mra o, se nya mra o. At the end of the day, everything dwells on common sense. And you don't have to be a PhD holder. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be in law school to understand fundamental or basic reasoning and logical reasoning issues. And you don't have to struggle to use your common sense. And in America, say on this platform, what we try to do is say we bring everything down to the basic reasoning level. We are Ghana nina utia because asem we die emu nyansa no ene dien adentina simesi we ye say anything every time we bring the conversation to your level. Inti brofo mo kekan bebrebe o court nde no me ena mabetena ha ne me team ena ye de ba for ma wate ase because na ye Ghana ni a wokoto aba wo taxes ena ye di tuanko for mo te court ne ka inti I was said ye course o court no so no at the end of the day no oye den wote ase. Okay, now there's one thing you need to understand. Say I'll be in a court and I'll be in a parliament. Eka constitution 1992 constitution. I also who be and there's one thing I Ghana for Mure Yefi. Ghana constitution a mason for hairdressers, welders, ma omoton adwene wo dwom, omoton apofe, tailor for, students, teacher for, different kinds of artisans, Ghana for ordinary Ghana for ne gi o madwene chichire the church constitution. Ain't nobody in this country should see the constitution say you too free wiem na baye 1992 or before 1992 no nipa bi ene to omugu Ghana impenifo mo Ghana ene omje Ghana for adwenkyere efa nyoma ana sene omo pese ye chichire Ghana. It is out here the constitution and also what the constitution of Ghana, and your brony be na de baye, a wunana, and now mame, and now papa bia ebia wechum, and now woo, and now yempeniphobia no more near you, and now more than what ya say, ya drinch ya jiji yakikasi ni the building be a friend of constitution. It is our constitutional honor, and yes, some book be a being see that a yamene wa agric and a friend of constitution. Adwene kyerɛ ebeboa me ne wo e de aboy ho ban abo oman ho ban e na ye nyina e de atokrata so e friend the 1992 constitution. And do not think say eye osono maame madam Tokonu or some exceptional being be a constitution no ono nkwa na wo ho kwan say o kyerɛkyerɛ mu tie mema wa adwene nya wo say politician bi ti radio so na TV so a ono enkwa na Nyankopon ama no ho kwan say eye 1992 constitution tailor for mason for hairdressers eye doctors teachers obi a oye Ghana di bia e de na adwene kyerɛ ba ye kyekere no omo nkwa na wo ho kwan ye nyina wo ho kwan say constitution no ye be kan na ya te ase na ya mana boy nyina ho ban. So do not see yourself say constitution de asuo na nipa bi nkwa na wo eye entitled to break down or explain the constitution and a majority of you Ghanaians they deceive me doing there. Nobody is entitled to explain or interpret the constitution than the Ghanaian. Some people have been given the mandate that officially when there's an issue they can sit and make it official, but we all as Ghanaians, unofficial or official, we have the right to read the constitution and interpret it. And the basic thing is that we need to be reasonable. We need to reason. Our reasoning level should be to the point where we can read the constitution and understand the constitution. So if somebody is misapplying the constitution, you and I I will see a dabi constitution we nurse ni na chiro constitution we tailor ni hairdresser inti ma wo nkoa mbe wa adwene se wo na wote ase. So we should all understand this. Over a period of time nipa bi create ade bi to Ghana say yo nipa ko bi a omo nkwa na read the constitution. That's not how it's supposed to be. Yo nipa ko bi a omo nkwa na entitled to speak on the constitution. That is not how it's supposed to be. The constitution should be a basic document. Every Ghanaian should be able to read and understand. The one ko school kra ankenkan on to mean kind brofono. I will see a tumi man nipa na constitution na se. If you say a sa nipa na one ko school no na dwenkyere eka ho na meye ye den ye di constitution we by 1992 JJ Rawlings edi eni me de bae. Enti enya Rawlings nko adwene enye asimesi nko adwene eyewo eneme enti aba constitution moma ye common sense ni nye adwuma mama me emfa title ne nko ama judge for mama emfa ma politicians mama emfa ma nipa bia o ma dwene ye o mo say because they are in politics they have the right to interpret or only speak on the constitution. Na ye maame na oye hairdresser no ye nua na oko school no ye nua na oye welder no ye nua na oye mine ni no and I say ye nua bi na oton nyama na otumi kan no only right. We all have the right to read and understand the constitution equally. What am I saying? Now let's move forward. NOB Kano, the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana should be added to the syllables of Ghana schools. I will say I will say a part. And I remember when we were in school, social studies, we had some part of the constitution in that book. But in Kwasiafo we started school, we don't even know anything about the Constitution of the Republic. I was from class 5. You started the constitution, you were a constitution subject. I was saying your school the constitution Sibiani reading books bit say life skills book, social studies book, Arabic book I was say constitution a topic. enkwara no ebe read the constitution, teacher ni beba kenkan page by page. Ondu JSS3, now on every part of the constitution of Ghana. It should be part of it. And I expect the incoming government to introduce this, add the constitution to the syllables enkwara from class 5. We need to infuse the constitution in our day, in our daily life, in our education. So I expect the NDC government, when God helps them to come to power, they should infuse, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyemang should insist that the Ghana Education Service add the constitution, makes it a whole topic on its own. It should be a subject, that we have the constitution as a subject, that every kid, by the time they get to JSS 3 or junior high school 3, that kid knows about the constitution, every single page of the constitution, so that we, the ordinary people, they call us, we can also defend ourselves. Because that gap, and then some judges, some lawyers, some stupid criminal individuals in Accra sitting on TV, intimidating you, the Ghanaian, taxes, Ghana. So we need to make sure the constitution is it becomes a subject in school. We need to be distributing constitution book to the kids. The schools need to have it in school. I will say chema obienya 1-1. Now edu constitution subject, you're reading the page by page. And then your page 23, what does it talk about? Chieftaincy affairs. The kids needs to be taught, or they need to be taught the constitution. They need to be abreast of the constitution. They need to know what the constitution entails, so that as they grow, kwasiebin to mean free Holland in Bambeka say, or go school Holland, or Bedi Ghana Nilso. We need to get these things right. And I will plead with Professor Nana Opoku-Agyemang that she should add this to her conversation. She should tell the people that when the NDC government comes to power, the constitution will be a subject in our primary schools all the way to the senior high schools. That's how it's supposed to be. We need to teach the constitution in schools. All right. Now, team, stay with me. In the end of court, they see any. Now, the first part of the CEO court. Now, me betray DB. After marking ne ex parte na or the court court no ex parte application na or no court one fre obi anka ho okoye no. So what kind of document ni here? Because ende no after marking court no, the last time no or catch Supreme Court say ministers and MPs miensa ho asem, and so okọ parliament documents mu a MP for a 9 ho asem and Alban Bagbin erulie. Make sure how inconsistent the Supreme Court is, how they don't take details seriously because of corruption. You see, when you are corrupt, what you do, then they say, you always try to cover up details. And what most corrupt people do, then they say, because details are important and details majority of the time expose corrupt minded individuals, they try to give less attention to what we call details. Into Saosha, Afenyoma can call court, he was talking about 3 MPs, and so over parliament, Adia Alban Bagbin Jina so take a decision now. It was about 4 MPs. In the first place, Afenyoma can Adia Jina so call court, it is wrong. It is a lie. And the Supreme Court is not supposed to entertain it. Into the case Krano in the first place was not supposed to be called. The Supreme Court was not supposed to entertain Afenyomakin. Into we read the Afenyomakin, what we call the ex parte application, the second point now, or say, an order restraining the Speaker of Parliament from pronouncing on any motion in Parliament directed by Right Honourable Andrew Esiama Amoako, the current Member of Parliament for Mena in the Ashanti region and second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honourable Cynthia Morrison, the current Member of Parliament for Aguna West in the Central region, and Honourable Kojo Asante, the current Member of Parliament for Suhum in the Eastern region in the current 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, from vacating their seat on grounds of leaving his political status as an independent candidate at the time of his election to parliament to another party, and leaving the party of which they were members at the time of their election to parliament to become independent members of parliament respectively. Inti Uche Afenyomakin, eye ade a ogina so e de court no in the first place ko kire Madam Toko no and Madam Toko no gitu mu na Afenyomakin went with 3 MPs. I'm trying to take this off. Sorry. Afenyomakin call no okokache Supreme Court say MPs miensa o MPs MP ena ema Alban Bagbin gina so ebu asem no enso ukọ parliamenta na eye MPs 9 omo ho asem ena ma Alban Bagbin take decision or take no into what will make the Supreme Court take half truth and try to judge or make a ruling on half truth, because you cannot go to court with half truth. And when you go to a parliamenta, you will see this. I'm trying to get you everything. Mama yankonko tie the Chief Justice and the Supreme Court timer a Speaker of Parliament the lawyer Kasaye.
And so that was taken into account before the court that makes the excessive orders relating to even 4 parliamentarians when the writ itself affected 3 parliamentarians. It didn't even include Article 97 1 each. And so all of those orders were made based on some of those findings. And I'm saying that, and the position is that the first defendant, based on these things, expects that in order not, especially when the court reaches the conclusion that on the balance, there was no balance, there was just one side of it, because it was an ex-party application, and they were ahead. What was the balancing?
Sorry.
Yes.
I thought you were just responding to a very straightforward.
Oh, yes.
But now, the case that we are hearing into the substance of the motion itself, I would urge you, rather, to restrict yourself to the objection that and answer it, whether it's scandalous or it's not scandalous.
This is not scandalous.
My problem is,
yes,
if your learned friend on the other side has raised these matters and you think it's not scandalous, you don't have to, as it were now, veer into the substance of the application itself.
My Lord, I needed to demonstrate that these things were not just said out of aim.
Just restrict yourself.
My Lord, I thought I was doing that. And so, as far as I'm concerned, apart from the use of the word scandalous, which he just used, he doesn't demonstrate how scandalous it is based on the context of the application that I have before.
We allege that the Chief Justice is privy breach of the constitutional provision. What are you trying to convey?
It may have been by reason of evidence. But if that's a statement of facts,
was it necessary for you to add that in your depositions? For you, what exactly were you trying to achieve? By adding the point that the Chief Justice was privy to a constitutional breach. I think that is the point.
Oh yes, but the point is that if she was privy to it, her ruling must reflect that. If it doesn't, it's one of the grounds on which I'm urging the court to set it aside.
So, Speaker of Parliament lawyer, the Okache Supreme Court say, Afenyomakin Baha Abekase, MPs miensa ho asem na Alban Bagbin gina so ebua na asem e speak Parliament. Nanso anya no kre. Nipa ye ka mo asem omo ye 9. Inti ede na Afenyomakin eba Parliament, eba Supreme Court, ebedi atrokyere mo say nipa miensa en ho asem na Alban Bagbin egina so ebua say NDC majority. Ena judge for mu to say oh na asana wo ka no ye pese ebusa say den na wo ka say Chief Justice Krampo no de oyeye no entwa ye omo ntia say obi beka say Chief Justice take decision bia sad decision no scandalous entwa ye into omo problem no say the word scandalous omo problem no say aden na wo ka say Chief Justice decision bi o take ye no based on the Afenyomakin de buy no entwa ye enti de enti na emane kasa. So Chief Justice Akasam entwaye and intina even Supreme Court was something we call review. And intina your appeals court, because you a court no it's not perfect. It when somebody says the Chief Justice took a decision and that decision technically it was scandalous. It was basically the ruling was not based on the facts, because the facts say when you go to Parliament 4 MPs in 170 eka. Afenyomakin the MPs 3 in 170 buy. So it means Afenyomakin brought a lie for the Chief Justice to rule on. So for the Chief Justice failing to make sure the details are right, the Chief Justice has committed a crime, and it's scandalous because we expect the creme de la creme, the biggest court on the land, to do its checks, dot its I's, cross its T's before it makes a judgment. Finished. So how can we be here that we are dealing with half truth? Because after Afenyomakin in Parliament, time Alban Bagbin eka say MPs and 9 abaku free NDC miensa free MPP we you omato akonwa no ade achi no Parliament krano, they were supposed to do what? They were supposed to in fact draft into Alban Bagbin ruling no. Now I was a Parliament at the court in time into Ridia. So oko Parliament a year documentation more. There was a memo. Alban Bagbin from Parliament release here after Afenyomakin a court 21st of October 2024.
Ewe osia nti we ensema yakwa kuti ediaba eyo won fanche me be the continuation no e wo studio but me buy no na chese any me machine so it never say the sign a different one it mo fanche me ready any studio what you say it mo fa enche me ntuti ensem dia aya ubisa ho se no. This crop of leaders our Supreme Court one a dear nkuana moji sa judges no a dear nkuana moji have they thought of say enche we soon select them franchise have they thought of say they bill to me bit me asana sometimes bibisa me ho just uncle for you mugu Supreme Court one enti say in case say John Domain Mahama any NDC for bar omo dream say Omubeko so our Supreme Court one man, and there is no way because the Omubeko so our Supreme Court one man. In fact, Yura John Dramani Mahama, Akuffo don't come for now. Why your dream say obe prosecute your mom, obe hold you accountable. It will never work. In fact, any human until we know, I know, say Yura John Dramani Mahama. Obaya immediately now the resetting of Ghana, it will start from the judiciary. Now ABC executive. Now they are extending the parliament. What you say? Because these are the 3 arms of government that who do my way. And if one crown and you on my way, we are doomed. And it is like 4 pillars. We see down now we did 4 pillars is a manner. Can you tell me say dino bako pillar pibu na dani gasujina? No. Immediately 1 pillar falls out. It will affect the other 3 pillars. Intino say yenhwe na yenima yesen. You see the judiciary na the president Akuffo and then Akuffo more influence. That is the cause of it. That is the cause of economic failures. Because no kwaribu honoma any kinds of muka. Because of influence, because of Akuffo and then Addo mukotana the bench so. It is no kwaribu honoma. They don't omupa no muka. Nanka ehifa and a boom say Supreme Court judge or party affiliation. Empo we'll go to the extent say we're contested as member of parliament. Now when ya that the president a friend is on got in a bench so undi asem. Says in Bibisa a deal in the what would happen? What would happen? You see, these are the bias I come with some conformity. Inti, and unti any for the last minute, but all package the judiciary with the judges and conforming to beating a manamano and conforming to of Tiomo Casa Munia, they will easily do it. And they could influence you. Thinking say this election, could be your court. Na omasan SCNDC for agin bill. Biabeka NDC for. You are smart enough. You people should be very, very vigilant. You people should give them extra training. You people should give them extra training. Saying, and these people are going to use their minds on you. These people are going to make sure Ghana for about better women on the moment form. Because in 2020 you also what happened in this country. 2020 Obi Obeka said NDC for million baby no on kind of correct. But because of say Mogo Edi Momo Emma Yvi Judicial Supreme Court and Mosha says no. Sadia yin famamo. Abra ye the judges of Addo don't go fado. You will never judge in favor of you. Internet da honum clear. And da honum clear. Say NDC for and no winning about. But because of say now Supreme Court was managed and is now managing financing, just say manipulating, just say Bibiano and the control of it. Of course, say your constitution doesn't stay it's like that. But say independently. And that is why I make the Biameka say, do you know something? Your constitution, we have problem with it. You can't be see any problem. We be able to the constitution, any problem with that. When you call or doing party or in doing Ghana, I'm telling you, the ordinary say the party go when in power. Now, on the constitution, a man is a queen and not why enjoy be. Because we in Ghana, what we say, if you can say president be better than us, what or not in our appointed IGP, will be your police that saddle many. And will be and your honor also appointed what? Electoral commissioner. And you also appointed chief justice. Because automatically Africans are greedy. Africans are greedy. And you know, the moment Oma utumi make say obi kwa actuality obi ba office obi lobby enu nyae nti say any pana wa lobby wonya no wo de hye ho no ma ade bi ekoso na friend from so catch and say hey I instruct you to do this for me ono so dia ho prepare e be ya ma because when you say wanya at the end of the day no be fire no and that is where I bring Ghana to think na say the upper elections and they did say Jumana and combine you with freedom and that there is no way the electoral commission can be influenced by the executive. There is no way the judiciary can be influenced by what? By any other institution as a executive. There's nowhere Omo can say the IGP can be influenced by any other individual or institution. But because of say on no more to meeting and I crazy, maybe just a for example, if I do speaker, Akuffo may Speaker of Parliament, and I zoom in on my Kukui and Eti Juma. Do you think say and Kasa 4 seat vacancy no on one castle film no the party Obayana? No, he won't. Because inside the end of the day, a bell and the party in trouble. So he will never do that. And that is what I'm talking about. Omutu about Muyi, member of Muyi Speaker of Parliament. I say you can never influence him. What means influence him? It is clean as filter paper. It is as clean as filter paper. Oye Juma. But Osha Omwa President appoint your mona. Anytime beer we have problem with them. Anytime beer we have problem with them because they are working for the president and some particular people be listen what I say it's very sad Ghana you take that kind of risk by giving all these powers to the president for the president to do such a thing. If the president is greedy and selfish like this is what you're going to witness and this is what you're going to see. Because the president is greedy and he lost power than the people. Person be willing than say obey the kitty jobs how many t-shirts for the past 11 weeks day, how many t-shirts have been sold or has been shared to people of Ghana? Then compare the last 11 months Eduma MPP about a created Yamai. The t-shirt that has been shared is more than Eduma MPP about a created Yamai. You say incident in the banasa. For I didn't talk comment session. Akuffo shall hang away bigger team. No function in the studio. Because studio justice, the bed, your mamma. Modern subscribe to your channel. Like you know, in a share. Remember, be cheap for Akuffo shall in the United States. You could Akuffo your mammy, say, Papa, mammy, where you be in UK, United Kingdom. Akuffo shall be a began. I salute you. Akuffo shall. Bye bye. Subscribe for the test updates. Bye bye.